Good afternoon, good afternoon. Happy Sunday. Hello, my fabulous humans. Welcome to Say. My name is Makabelo Motaung, and I am your social and dating coach and also your host for this feature. Happy Sunday. I know that I said we're going to go live on Facebook, but on YouTube, but I'm not sure what happened. So I had to revert back to Facebook for today. Hopefully, it's the last time that I'm streaming on Facebook. My guest, I lost my guest. I don't know what happened. But anyway, this is a daily feature that I run on my timeline where I talk to black men from different backgrounds about things that affect them. We talk life, dating, money, intimacy. We talk it all. And today, my guest was here. He disappeared. I don't see him on the screen anymore. But my guest is here to basically talk about, sorry, he's here again to talk about debt and relationships and how debts can impact our relationships. I'm not going to introduce him because I don't like introducing my guest. I think it's only fair that they introduce themselves. And so I'll wait for him to stream back and hopefully he connects. Otherwise, it's going to be a monologue, and you don't want that because then I'll resort to singing, and that will traumatize you guys. You will immediately unfollow me. So let's hope he streams back. I'm interested in the conversation today because I believe that money plays a vital role in how we relationship, whether we like it or not. Money plays a role. So now, when you have debts, it's interesting because that's going to change the whole dynamics. You are not going to be able to do the things that you need to do. It's just going to cause a lot of strain on relationships. And I remember reading somewhere where it was saying that in terms of the divorce cases, that the reason for most of the divorce reported cases was their finance related. It was financial reasons, and you can only assume it's either somebody got in debt without letting the partner know and how that affects them. So it would be interesting to unpack that. What is your experience with debt? And Tebogo Are, feel free to sing. We will wait. Nope, I shall not do that to you guys. Not today. Actually, I'm not a bad singer. For those who know me, know that you know what I can hold a note, Hanyani. Not that I'm a star or anything, but I can hold a good note. So what has been your experience with debt? Have you been over indebted and you're in a relationship? Are you avoiding relationships as a result of debts? What is your view on debts? Where are you? Where are you sitting with debts? Are you managing your debts? Now, what's your relationship currently with debts? Guys, this guy's not logging in. This monologue thing is boring, really. But let me talk about my experience since we're talking about this. I look, I've been on both sides of the fence here. I've been heavily indebted. And I can see how that can cause a lot of stress in just my personal life without even involving anyone else. In just my personal life, it caused a lot of stress. But also, I then didn't know how to reach out for help to the banks, reach out for help to the providers that are available. I was always so scared to do that. And I basically nkile ka drown man hara dikoloto, hey, and had to learn how to swim and eventually got out of debts. And I don't want to find myself there, so I'm always very careful um with debts. But I believe that one way or another you can't avoid debts. You have to have debts at some point. You need a bond, you need a car, but the trick is how do you manage them. How do you manage them? I think my guest is struggling to log in. He was here. He says he's here, but I don't see where he is. Uh, let's try this. Just give me a second, please, guys. Be patient with me. This doesn't usually happen, I promise you. But technology sometimes does this to the best of us, even me. So let's see, how do we connect this guest? How do we connect the guest? He's here. No, he's not here. That's me. Oh, wow. Oh, where's this guy? Frank, if you can hear me, please try and connect agently. I know you're probably watching this. Please click on the link that I provided for you, and you should be able to join in. Agently do that, please, because we are 6 minutes into this and you are still not here. I'm sure the viewers have a lot of questions for you, and I have a lot of questions for you as well. I really don't want to sound like an expert in this conversation because I'm not. I'm also here to learn. So please connect with us agently. Guys, I'm gonna log off, and hopefully he logs back in. If he doesn't, then I don't know what's gonna happen. But I think the 6 minutes I gave him was enough for him to connect. So let me log out. Oh, there. He's ready. He joined. Frank, how can how can you do this to me? Do you know I had to keep the conversation going alone?
I'm here.
I
I'm
had to
here.
keep I was ready to log out.
Well,
I
why
was
would
ready
you log out? I'm here.
because it's not interesting talking to yourself.
Oh, nah, it's interesting now. I'm here. I was also battling to get in, and I'm here now.
You saved everyone from my monologues. I was ready to sing to the audience to save the day.
What would have been the choice of your song this time around?
You know, money makes the world go round, right?
Okay. Yeah, okay. That's for sure.
Since the theme is money, it's debt. So, Frank, please introduce yourself to the audience.
Okay, I'm Frank Jackson. I have a daughter who is a teenager. I love that very much because she lives with me. Um, I work for the Endangered Wildlife Trust. I do business development, and that actually involves lobbying funds to make sure that the conservation that we have in South Africa is well funded. And then I'm also a debt counselor. I help people with debt to make sure that one of these days they come out of the woods of debt and become debt free.
Yeah.
Imagine getting your pay into your bank account and nobody's pulling it away from you. That's the idea.
Mm.
Yeah.
I was torturing the audience, telling them my stories about debts, and I was saying that we all at some point find ourselves either in debts or,
Hmm.
and it could be a lot of reasons. For me, it was having to build at home, my black tax, having to pay my black tax, that really took its toll on me and my finances to an extent where I found myself not even qualifying for anything else in the banks. I would be afraid to give anyone my ID if I wanted to apply for anything. That's how bad it
Mm,
was.
mm, 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 mm.
Um, and what are some of the reasons that we get in debt? Why do we get in debt?
Um, there is a lot of myth out there that people get into debt because they just want to live the lifestyle, and mostly that's not the case. People get in debt for a lot of reasons. You could have a kid that needs to go to university, and you go and get a loan. You could suffer a divorce, and in the process, you find that you're inheriting your partner's debt, and you need to clear it out. It could be that you got sick and you needed medical care, and your
Mm,
insurance, the insurance could not pay all that was needed to be paid. Sometimes you kind of go to the bank in your personal capacity and you want to start a business. You've got good intentions. You've done some research and you're going there full out and you're telling yourself,
mm,
I am going to make this business work. You get 200,000, 300,000, half a mil, a million rand, and
mm,
you start the business, and things start falling apart and the creditor starts coming after you in your personal capacity.
Mm,
Sometimes it's just family. You want to help family to, uh, you want to help family. You want to build a house. You go there and get a
mm,
house loan, and you realize pretty soon that you can't manage the loan. So there
mm,
are a lot of good reasons why people get into loans, but eventually things can get into a spiral, down spiral. And you get a loan to cover the loan, you get the loan to cover the loan. In the end, you just realize that you're in a ditch that you cannot get out.
mm.
Yeah.
Do we
And
get in
then
debt because, yeah?
Yeah, and then Coach KB, the other thing could be that just a lifestyle issue. I mean, I have stated issues that actually affect people, and they are valid
Mm,
reasons. But there are also other reasons that you can get. I mean, you want your friend drives a good car, you want a car, your network has got a certain lifestyle and you want to live up to that style, and you find yourself go getting these loans, clothing shops, even furniture. You want to get high-end furniture to make sure that everybody knows that you are living the life. So as much as there are good reasons why people go and get debt, there are also other reasons that less impressive, so to speak, that
mm,
people go and get debt. But anybody that is in debt, there is quite there are variables. There are reasons
yeah.
that are variable that brings us to that state of over indebtedness.
Would you say there's good debt and bad debt?
Yes, there is. If you have a good feel, you've done research, and you want, I mean, all of us want to be our own boss at some point. Wouldn't you say that?
Yeah, no, for sure. Mm,
Okay, so if I've done my research and I want to start a business, and I decide, I don't want to go too big. I'm gonna get 50,000 and start the business small and pull it up over time. If things do not work out, the debt was good because it was an investment it was capital into a business, right? And
mm,
it just so happened that things did not work out as planned and things fell apart. But I still need to pay the creditor because I owe the money. So that is good debt. You can also decide that, you know what, I do not have the money to build my house. I don't want to
mm,
go and buy an already built house, especially us in the hood. Uh, the idea of buying a house and the building one sounds more easy because you can build at your own pace. You see what I mean?
mm,
So you can
mm,
go to the bank and say, you know what, I need 500,000. I want to build my own house, and you start building this house. That is good debt. And sometimes you've got a kid that needs to go to school, and you've got good intentions. You want them to go to the uh, perfect school from primary to high school, and then they go to university. You were taking debt to make up for that because anyway, they will pay you in black tax. So why not? So you you find yourself getting into debt, and that could be good debt, but nevertheless, it is debt.
mm. We've got a
Mm,
comment here from Tebogo. Tebogo says, I allowed myself to drown into debts, which at the time
mhm,
didn't seem an issue until I met
mm,
someone I fell madly in love with and wanted to marry. The problem
mhm.
started when we wanted to buy a house and not a single bank would touch me. And going with the third party mortgage companies meant I'd have to settle for
A high
extortionate,
interest.
yeah, a higher interest rate basically.
Yeah.
Safe to say the woman ran as fast as she could. Would you say, I mean,
Mhm.
this is a sad story, but it's a reality for a lot of us. As soon
Yeah.
as some for a lot of people,
Mhm.
debts are like a they just a they just a relationship breaker, for
Yeah.
a lot
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
people, they don't negotiate that. Would you say that what he's saying is a reality for a lot of us? Do we run away from people with debt? Is it, what's the shame that's surrounded? There's so much shame that's surrounded with debts, as if it can't be resolved. What is the issue with that?
You know what? When you are considering a life partner, there's a lot of things that you're going to inherit in terms of debt. And I mean, we men are seen as providers. And when you come in and you are in tatters with debt, well, it raises questions on your ability to look after the lady. Let's put the issue of 50-50 aside, but the lady would need to be looked after. I mean, her family, the uncles, and everybody, wherever you are going to pay this lobola, they want to know that their um, daughter is going to be taken care of. So
Mm.
if you come into a relationship and you are financially stressed, maybe before you get into that relationship, maybe you should start with sorting out the debt. Okay, falling in love, you cannot,
Time it. You can't time this thing and say no. Okay, it's gonna align to my debts and
yes,
finances.
I agree. That's where I'm going. I'm saying you cannot put a timeline to love, but maybe while you're in this love, you can explain to your lady that, here is my situation. I'm I'm in debt to this extent, and this is my plan to get
But
out
we
of
don't
debt.
talk about debt. That's the
Why
thing,
not?
Afring.
Why not? Why
We
not?
don't. This is the thing
But
about debt. Even today, as I'm talking to you, just the
mhm.
topic alone, I'm sure a lot of people are like, I'm not watching this because it touches it. It just makes us feel otherwise. It makes us feel scared. It makes us feel a lot of things. It makes us feel like we're reckless. It makes us feel ashamed. It makes us
You're
feel,
not. You're not. There's nothing to be ashamed of about debt. You took it and you used it, and it's time to face the music and face it as a man or as a woman. So, I mean, if you love someone that much that you want actually to settle down with them, I mean, how would it feel you get to this, fine dining restaurant and you cannot actually pay the bill? I mean, how are you going to explain that? I mean, if you can't send flowers to this lady because you don't have the money, I mean, how are you going to explain that? So, to counter all that, I mean, just be honest with the partner. I mean, unless you just want to have this relationship and walk away after some time. But if you are intending to settle down, then just bear your soul out and just tell her,
but how soon should you bear it out? Because we're still dating, we're still getting to know each other, and then now
absolutely,
I'm scared of your debt.
absolutely. Okay, at the beginning,
You
hey,
see,
I
you're
love
always
you and
asking
all
the
that.
same question as well. How
Yeah.
soon from when I
Well,
meet the woman should I start
okay.
disclosing?
There's no timeline. You see, people always ask me, when is the right time to marry somebody? I mean,
Mm,
let me give you a scenario. You go to Las Vegas or whatever great place in South Africa is. You meet someone, right? And then after 2 years you've been dating, then you pay lobola, and then after that, then you organize a wedding. And 5 years later you're married, and 2 days later you get divorced. You see, you did the right thing, and based on the time frames accepted by the community, you were on point, right?
mm,
Okay, then you get somebody that goes to the same place, meet somebody today, and fall in love today, and marry today, and live happily ever after. So there is no formula as to what you should do to actually
mm,
do the right thing, because each situation is determined by the variables in the situation. So
mm.
I would say that if you meet somebody and you're feeling comfortable with the person, you're planning the future together, the moment you start planning the future together, it's good to open up because you don't want to surprise them once they have already signed on the dotted line that you are actually in debt. I mean, there is a major story in the media right now of the lies that men would give to their better half. And when the better half finally realizes that it was all a lie, then the breakup is certain.
Mm. So we've got a
So
comment
let
here
me
from
just say,
Sorry.
so I would say the moment you feel comfortable and that you are now planning for the future, it's a good time to tell her. And you know what? If she loves you, ladies are very, very, very much passionate about somebody that is honest. If you tell her the truth, and you should not only tell her the truth, but explain how you plan to get out, because you can't just tell
I
me
was
the
about to
problem.
ask that. I was about
Yeah.
to say that, to say,
Mm.
what is the point of sitting down and saying, look, I'm in debt, and then you don't even have a plan?
No,
Like, you
no, no,
don't
that
even
won't
have it.
work.
Like, you're not serious. To me, you will not be serious. Like, I appreciate the honesty, but honesty can only go so long in helping us move forward. For me, it's like, okay, sit
Absolutely,
down and say,
absolutely.
look,
Yeah.
and
Mm.
for me, I feel like I would say you disclose this when you see that you guys are moving into an
Yes,
exclusive relationship, but also
absolutely.
when you see that you're starting to make we plans a lot.
Mm,
Where
mm,
are
mm,
we
mm.
going? What are we going to do? What are we? Then you can start,
My
But
sentiments exactly.
yeah, but for me, it's like don't also disclose it too soon because then people run away without getting to know you. Let somebody we've all made mistakes, and besides, people recover from debt. It's not like I'll be stuck with it forever. So if I'm
Absolutely.
gonna disclose it to a partner and then they run
Mm,
away, for me, even if
mm.
I've recovered and are doing better, don't come back, because
Yeah,
clearly this
absolutely.
love is conditional.
Absolutely. I think the lady is very receptive when you tell her your plan. I mean, um, the lady needs to trust you that you are going to get out. And if you explain the plan and the timeline, you see, if you say, I'm in this trouble and I'm earning this much, I'm reducing my expenses by this much, and it's going to take this long to get out of debt, the lady will give you the time. But like I said, Coach KB, I've got a lot of answers to people's debt situation. So as we go along, I'll break down the remedies to people's debt.
Mm.
Hmm.
So for me, what are some of the pressures and conflicts that you would say arises from having a lot of debt? Not just in relationships, but what are some of
Hmm.
the problems that generally arise as a result of debt in our day-to-day lives?
Okay, so there are a lot of problems that you would face when you have debt. I mean, the first one is that the cost of debt becomes very expensive for you as an individual that has
Mm,
debt. So if I don't have debt, well, and you have close to 1 million or 200,000 based on your level of finance, right?
mm,
If we go to the bank, the cost of debt for me and you is different. If
mm,
based on your scores. So if your scores, let's say, is 300, uh, let's say more or less there, you'll see that they will give you a higher interest for your debt. And me, I'm 600 plus to 700. I'm going to get the same loan at 20 to at between 10 to 15%, while you are probably starting from 17 to 27%. So one problem for over indebtedness is that you will only your cost of debt is too high. And
mm,
now from there, then you've got problems with you are always blacklisted on the credit bureau's profile. Your profile is always blacklisted, which is not a good thing. And going beyond that is that you cannot apply for debt in certain circles because they are not going to allow you because you are
mm,
blacklisted. Remember, the banks, let me just say, the credit industry has got a financial system that knows you very well more than you know yourself. They have
Explain to
your
us.
ID. Okay,
Mm,
so when you are buying this stuff, let's say you've got a furniture account, you've got a loan with another credit provider, you've got a school account, all that. These
mm,
guys, they provide this information by law to the credit bureau. The bureau keeps that information, creates a profile on you, and they know who you owe, how much you're paying, and your state of financial affairs. So when you get into this, when I get into this, so if you would, Coach KB, give me your ID number and say, Frank, check for me. I get into the system because I'm a debt counselor and I'm allowed to. If you give me the permission, I would get into the system. Once I get in the system, I'll tell you who else you owe and whoever you ever owed. You see what I mean? So when you then go to another debt provider and you apply for a loan, all that information comes in. They will list you a slow payer, and me as a credit provider, I'll decide whether I want to take you or not. You see what I mean? So all those, how you pay your accounts, how much you have of them, how much you earn, your level of education, and
Where
whether
you
you
spend
are,
your money on.
yes, what you
Is
spend
it
money. It's like
entertainment?
all that is
So
listed.
they know everything. They've got my life in their hands, basically.
Absolutely, they do. They do. So the major problem about being in credit is that you your cost of debt is expensive. Wherever you go and get a loan, it's going to be expensive.
Because the bank punishes you for being a terrible,
Okay,
terrible.
I wouldn't put it as punishing. I would say
Punishment.
the bank sees you as a risk. So they are taking a risk on you because one, you may never be able to pay this debt, but the bank knows they want to make money out of you, right? In interest. So they'll punish you. Yes, let me agree with you. They'll punish you for being in debt. And they'll punish you financially, which is driving you even more in debt. Because if I tell you that you owe this much, but if we have to give you credit, we are going to give you at the highest interest allowed, which is around 27%. And that 27%, remember now that it's compounded annually. So it's not because people go into the bank and in the to any credit provider and they say I want 200,000, and then the bank would say, because remember now, Coach KB, whenever you go and get credit, all you want to hear at that moment is that your loan is approved,
Is
whether
approved,
it's
yeah. I
whether
don't
it's a
care how much
furniture
I'm
shop.
paying,
Yeah.
the
That
interest.
in fact, your brain doesn't function after your loan is approved. You just say, well, where should I sign? Where should I sign? Then you sign, and
And we don't
you're
even
just
read
waiting.
what it says.
How can you read when you needed 200,000? It's just landed into your bank account. You At that point, they know that you're not going to read. So when we go to the bank, all we want to hear is that our loan is approved. But even if I tell you that your loan is about 27%, you will do a simple calculation of 200,000 times 27%, and you see the amount like negligible. But what you don't understand is that this amount is going to be put on your debt every year, this interest, because that's how compound interest. On the 13th month, they would put another 27%. On the 25th month, they will put another 27%. So at the end of 60 months, you've paid more than double. So let me paint a scenario for you.
Please do.
Okay. You go to the bank, you get 200,000, right? They give it to you. And then they would say, okay, we are going to give it to you at 27%, 27.25%, right? Okay. And then they would say that you are not really in good standing with the banks. You're not in good standing. You are not financially a secure person that
Stable.
we can. So we are going to take insurance on you, but that insurance you're going to be the one paying it.
Paying
So
for
we are
it.
going to, yeah. So we are going to charge you Above the 27%, we are going to charge you insurance, which you will be paying for this credit of 200,000 over the life of the credit. You see what I mean? And then they would say, no, but people will be working on this account. So we need some service fee. So we are going to put 69 Rand every month for the life of this agreement, right?
Mm.
At the end of the day, you would be paying 9,000 plus for this account for 60 months. Now, here is a kicker. At around 28 to 29 months on this account, you would
Mm.
have paid back the 200,000.
The debt, the original
The,
debt,
the,
yes.
the capital you borrowed is paid.
Mm.
Now, from 29 to 60, you are only paying the cost of the capital. Are you
Wow.
getting my point? So at the end of 60 months, you have paid 417,000. You borrowed 200,000 and they are making
Mm.
217,000 from you over a period of 60 months.
This is all scary. It sounds like you're saying don't take debt. What is the right way of taking up a debt? Because we're gonna need a debt at some point. What is
Okay,
the
so
right way?
I, I,
And and
I would say that before
mhm.
you get debt, clean up your debt. Before
How do we
you
keep it up? It's already a
consider
mess.
taking debt, no, 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 I will tell you how to, but let me just say, let me just put it out there that before you take debt, clean up debt. Because if you take it when you are dirty, it's going to be expensive. So,
Mm.
like the scenario I gave you, that here is somebody with 27% compounded annually, and
Mm.
then there's you that is well off, and your debt. I had a friend whose interest was at 10%. Do you see
Wow.
how that?
And
You
I'm getting
see,
it at
10.
27%.
You see, that's the difference. So if you intending to get debt, not all debt is bad because we need debt. I mean,
Mm.
for you to save to buy a house, it's going to take you a long time. But if you take a loan at a good percentage, you are going to pay it over a period of time. And whenever you have a windfall, like an expected amount, you can throw it in there and finish paying your house in 10 to 15 years as opposed to 20 to 30 years.
Mm.
Yeah.
So, I mean, okay, so now Tebogo is also asking that what if
Mm,
you get married to
mhm,
a person and let's say they've just overlooked at the debt, obviously,
mm,
and then you
mm,
get married to them. What is the
mm.
implication of
Well,
getting married to somebody who's over indebted?
okay, so Coach KB, listen to this one, and this one is very careful. It's very important, right? How it is important is that taking debt and marrying someone in community of property will bankrupt you. Now, you have to understand that when you are in love, you don't want to hear anything that would make the other person feel bad. You
Yeah, no, I
see?
trust
So
them. I trust
so
them with my
so so
money.
you want to say that, you know what, I trust you with your money, I trust you with everything, and
It's me
because
and
you're
you
in
against
love,
the world.
you're
Yeah.
you're in love, but it's impractical. It's impractical. Once you sign on that dotted line, you have inherited their debt. You know what that does? It puts you at risk too. So let's say that, you know what, the love does not change. You still love the person. But if
Mm.
you care about them, you would say, you know what, let's have a nuptial agreement and let's
Mm.
separate our assets. Should things not work for you, you are still with me. So I've got financial resources to make our life happen. But never in your life consider uh, in community of property. it will mess your life up, especially with somebody that is in debt. And remember now that even you
Mm,
buying something else in your life, you need to get a consent from them and all that stuff. And even just getting a divorce in a community of property is a hectic process.
mm.
Because
But Frank, we
now,
don't know they're in debt.
no.
How
That's
do we
why.
how do we find that out on our own without relying on them to be honest? How do I find
No.
out if my partner is
You can't do that. You can't do that. It's against the law. It's
but I
invasion
want
of
to
their
know.
privacy. No,
I mean, you
okay.
mentioned the scenario now where
Okay.
somebody's married and then 2 months later they discover, oops.
You see, but here is the thing. If the guy loves you, you can always ask him. You know what? Uh, do you have debt, and how much debt it is? If they are free, you can say, you know what? Let's do a credit check. It's free. The first credit check is free. Go to
Okay.
any credit bureau. They are by law they're allowed to give you the first assessment, which is for free. You just enter your ID number, and then it will populate your information. And in 2 minutes, you've got information at your fingertips. Unless he's got 10 IDs, that's a different story. But
It
if
happens.
if he's got one ID, you enter it, you get the information. And then you can say, you know what, baby, or whatever it is, let's sit down and plan well. You can put his credit record here and you put yours there, and you look at them and say, you know, here is our life. How are we going to move from here? But
Mm,
credit information is not a, you can even go on credit score, very free. Just put the ID number, it will get to you. And then you get all the information you need. So, since it's in community of property, his ID is yours. Surely you can just say, "Sit here. I'm going to do it myself." And you do it, and you show it to him, and you say, "You know, maybe there are things that you want to tell me now," and he's going to tell you how he got into this debt. So it's a simple way. You don't have to. It doesn't need rocket science. Just
mm.
download the app, get the credit scores, where you owe, and all the information is there.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And then there's also people who are saying,
Hmm.
probably, I'm married now.
Hmm.
And when we entered the relationship, we were both in good credit record, you know.
Okay.
But for some reason,
Mm.
during the period of our marriage, this one
Hmm.
has went outside without me knowing to get more and more into debt. So now we are
Mm.
stuck married, but you went behind me to get debt. And now what do we do now?
You know what? If you are married in community of property and the provider of this debt did not ask for your spouse, it's against the law. He broke the law. And even the credit provider broke the law because the credit providers have a system that can verify you as married.
Mm,
And it will say whether you are in community property or not. But where the marriage is in community property, they are not supposed to give you credit without the consent of your spouse. But the problem is that you can go there and just sign anything, and you would say this. If they give you the forms, you go outside, you just scribble something. They would have to believe that it was your wife that signed there. But
mm,
in essence, you are not supposed to take debt without the consent of your spouse. So it's against the
mm,
law for the credit provider. They would be in violation of their conditions of enlisting with the national credit regulator. So it shouldn't be like that. So if they went out there to take credit, I mean, Coach KB, listen. If you go out there and get 100,000 and your spouse doesn't know, what did you do with
mm.
the 100,000? You see what I mean?
No, I have a side chick that I wanted to take to Dubai, so I had to make provision, you know.
You see, that's where you are ending in trouble because the side chick gives you pressure, and pressure
Mm,
makes life difficult for the other partner. I would say that if I am in that situation, I would walk away because that is now problematic because you took
And it's a
100,000.
violation of
Yeah,
your
commitment.
own well-being, because now
Yeah,
I'm gonna be stuck in debt when I leave you. So now
yeah.
I'm stuck in debt because you went out to recklessly go and get debts behind my back without my knowledge.
Yes, and wasting your time on such a partner that would actually take 100,000 because that 100,000 is a jibe in your heart, is a jibe in
Mm,
your finances. I would say, if he takes 100,000 for his girlfriend, or he takes half a mil and build his girlfriend a house, and you are married
mm,
in community or property, I would say it's time to walk away. It's time
yeah.
to walk away. Yeah. And you know what? The good thing is that if when you are going to that divorce court, you can actually put it on record that I did not sign for this. So the debt counselor would have to investigate uh, um, credit malpractice of
What is a
whosoever
debt
did.
counselor?
Okay, so the debt counselor is the stop nonsense. Here is how he comes into the picture. So, okay, so let me break it down. There are three ways in which you can get out of debt if you are
Mm,
over indebted, right?
okay.
Back in the day, they used to be what they used to call sequestration. It's still there.
Mm,
Sequestration is when you, as Coach KB, you have assets like
mm,
houses, vehicles that are fully paid, fridges, and everything else. You do have the life. Or maybe you started the business in your personal capacity and you bought assets like equipment, sewing machines, and everything. But the business is not making money and you owe creditors, right?
mm,
Now, the creditors, they know that you do have money in the form of assets. It's not in cash, it's not liquid,
mm,
it's,
mm,
it's, it's in assets. And you know that if you sell these assets, you can actually pay all your creditors and walk away
mm,
scot free. So
mm.
what you will do is you need to find an advocate and apply to the high court to be
Mm.
declared to be declared
Solvent.
sequestrated or insolvent, right?
Okay.
The lawyer then would put together all your assets and hold, let's say, an auction and auction all
Okay.
your assets, and then
Mm,
look at who you owe on this list, and they will pay as much as they can towards each and every one of them. This process excludes you and me, normal people, because
mm.
to afford an advocate is a lot of money. And we may
Yeah.
not have the assets to actually, we may not have assets to sell. So this limits a greater number of our masses. A lot of people want to
Mm.
qualify for this one. And then
Okay.
there's a second one. A second
What's
one
the
is
second one?
it's called administration. I mean, a lot of
Okay.
people hear about administration, but they don't actually know how it works and they confuse it with other remedies. So
Okay.
administration is your debt has to be less than 50,000, 50,000 and less. And
Mm,
you're struggling, and then they would mathematically see that you are actually struggling to pay this account. So what they do
mm.
is they you would go to a lawyer and the lawyer would say how much do you have, and then you calculate and all that stuff. Then the lawyer would go to all your creditors and negotiate that these payments should be spread over a long period of time so that you're paying a less amount. The
Okay.
limitation to this is that the period is not capped, so you can pay it for 10 years just paying 100 rand to that debt. Remember, now your record on credit bureau is not cleared. So
Mm,
even though you are paying a small amount, you can pay it for 20 years. You are still going to be
mm.
blacklisted. So it limits your access to finance
In
in the
future.
future. In future,
Mm,
at the same time, also it limits you if you've got more than 50,000 type of credit. And
mm,
and then the latest research is saying it also depends who is this lawyer, because the lawyer wants to keep you in the system. So he does not actually give you reports, and you need to pay him. And he may not tell you how much he's taking from this amount. So this process can go as far as 100 years, and you don't know what happened with the money.
Oh my God.
You see what I
Wow.
mean? So
Mm,
that is something that I wouldn't advise anybody else. So the state realized that a lot of people are still over indebted. So we need to have a
mm,
robust way of getting people out of debt, especially those that are over indebted. So
mm.
a National Credit Act came into action in 2007. And in it, there's a process called debt review, and others know it as debt counseling. And in it, its mandate, its objective is to help. It's a transformational legislation that is looking
Okay.
at the black masses, not only blacks, but anybody that is in debt. But we know
Mm-hmm.
that the majority are people of color, and to see how they can be helped using this system.
Okay.
Now, you would ask me, how does it work? Okay. When you are managing your finances and you see that you're taking debt more and more, and you get to a level where your income versus your expenses, your income is less than versus your
My
living
expenses.
expenses, the
Okay.
chances are that you are over indebted. It's time to
Mm,
see a debt counselor. So here's how people actually get to a debt counselor. So the creditors will start phoning you like, we need our money, you haven't paid, and all that stuff, phoning you in front of your kids and your wife or your husband, and now you're really
oh, I
stressed.
miss those calls.
You see what? And then before they take the court action, they would send you what we call Section 129 notice. In it, it will say, we are intending to take court action, or else come and discuss this issue with us and make arrangements. And then in the fine print, it would say, or else go see a debt counselor. Because that's not
Mm,
their best option,
mandate.
but
Yeah.
they're forced by the law to actually say that. Now,
Mm,
when you have come to that point where your income is less than your living expenses
expenses. Yes.
together together with your commitments to your credit, that is
Mm,
the right time to go and see a debt counselor. Now, the debt counselor would then get into a financial system, and he would pull your record and put it in front of you. And then
mm-hmm.
you tell him, what else are you paying? You've got a child somewhere, you bought a car for your side chick, you've got 10 kids somewhere else that maybe your partner doesn't know. You need to bring that up, you see,
Mm,
so that we know your level of commitment. Because
mm,
there's no way for me as a debt counselor to tell you that, don't support that kid. That kid still need money. And we
mm,
need to consider that. I mean, that car that you bought for the site, it's not going to just go away. We need to find a way on how we can manage with the car or without the car.
mm.
So then we'll discuss here, and I would do standard calculations. And if the result is negative, which means now that your expenses are too high, then I would actually inform all your credit providers that an assessment has been done, and this gentleman or this lady or this couple are over indebted. In that period, I've already asked from them what we call balances, certificate of balances. So they've given me more or less how much this guy owes, apart from the information that I get from the uh, um, credit
Credit.
bureau.
Mm,
Okay. Once that happens, by law, given a certain amount of days to
mm,
now draft or create a restructuring proposal. Because now the creditors are saying, okay, we understand this guy owes us money and he's now over
mm.
indebted. Now give us an offer. Give us an
What can
offer.
he
What
afford?
can you
Yes.
do? Okay. So the good thing about debt counseling is that the counselor has a leeway, has got leverage to go back to the credit agreement and discuss interest. You see what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I go there and tell them, okay, I create this proposal, and in the proposal, I can actually, depending on how indebted you are, I can
Mm-hmm.
suggest that they reduce or cut the interest. So I'll put the interest that I think you can afford.
Okay.
So in essence, let's say that you owe them 100,000 and you're paying let's say 7,000. Remember, this 7,000 includes all the service fee and the interest. I might go back to them and say, based on this person's indebtedness, I suggest that we cut the interest and let him pay the capital. And then maybe from 7,000, your installment would come to 2,000, 3,000. It then frees up the money.
Mm.
It frees
Okay.
up the money so that the places where you have been short in your living expenses can be covered.
But then I'll go and make more debt because now I've got
No, no,
this
no, no,
money.
no, 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 no. Here is
Or
the
does
kicker.
that stop
Listen to
me
me.
from getting
Okay,
any debt? Like
okay.
it stops me from
In
committing.
in in the period of debt review, you are under counseling under me. You are not
So
supposed to
you
take
manage
it.
the debts.
No, no,
I
no, no.
can't
How? No, no.
go
I
and make.
manage you. I manage you
Okay.
on how you think debt. You see. So what happens is that in the period, I would ask you not to attempt to take debt.
What happens if I do?
Be- because now, no, no, no. The credit. I told you that the credit system that we use is the same. So they've
Oh,
got
so
your
you
information
know.
there. Remember that they know that you're now under debt review. So I
Oh,
wouldn't,
okay.
you know what bothers me, Coach KB, is that people
Hmm.
that are indebted, they want to take more debt. Remember
I
now,
know.
you have now available money. Why do you want to get into debt? You
And
see,
the point of it is
remember,
to clean up.
no, 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 no. Remember now that Coach KB, the money that is left is you to manage where you were failing. So
Mm,
now I have taken into consideration all your expenses, and I
mm,
built in a 10% contingent so that
okay.
if somebody dies somewhere, you still have money. It is up to you to manage that money. In
Mm-hmm.
this period, mostly I would create it for 5 years, but you can pay it in 2 months if you have got other money somewhere. It is up to you to pay when you can. If you want to increase the payment, or if you had a bonus at some point and you call me and say, you know what, Frank, I've got some. Let's look at most of my client. What I do is I would tell them that, okay, here is the smallest to the biggest. If you've got a windfall somewhere, some additional money, let's start with the smallest. We can pay it off, and we get up our paid up later. And then you are paying the same way you were paying. And then we look at whenever you have got extra money, we pay the second
Mm-hmm.
biggest. We pay the third biggest, the fourth biggest. Before you know it, in 2, 3 years, you're done paying. Guess what? When you are done paying, I would give you what we call a clearance certificate. I would send it personally myself to a credit bureau and say, you know what, please, this person has finished paying his debt. Clean him up in the system so that you can then start pay. You know what? At the end of that period, you are now responsible. You know what goes into credit, and the chances
Mm,
are that in your next attempt to debt, you're going to be very clever in how you approach debt.
mm. But there's so many myths around debt canceling or debt review. What are some of those
Yes.
that people
Okay.
think
So let me put it this way: people always run for debt consolidation. They feel this is the best way.
yeah, let me
But
just get one big loan to close them
yes,
off.
okay. Remember now, when you are getting this one big loan, right, you are actually getting it at a cost. So you are not solving out anything. You are actually digging yourself deeper. Okay. You come to me, I'm a credit provider. You tell me I've got 10 accounts. I already see that you've got 10 accounts because I've got the system to know, right? In this process, then you owe 300,000, right?
Mhm.
And I'm going to say, we are going to give you the 300,000, but we are going to give it to you at an interest of 25%. Remember now, 25% in 5 years is over 100,000, is over 100%. Because remember now, every year we are going to add 25%. So you are not getting out of this debt. You are actually digging yourself into more debt. Because
Mhm.
at that point, you are free to go and get an additional loan. Because the system sees you as a clean person, but you're not. You are paying
Mhm.
heavy penalties for the credit that you took. So let's just say that going for a credit consolidation does not sort out your problems because all you're doing, you're getting debt to pay debt,
Mm.
and it never works.
We've got a comment here from Deboho who says, what happens if we accumulate debt in my name whilst married? Having agreed to both pay together, but things don't work out and the other person refuses to stick to their verbal agreement.
Okay, so remember now, verbal agreement will never sell bread. It's just verbal. It's he said, she said. We can always create stories in between. Now, it depends what kind of marriage you have created. If it's out of community of property, then I mean that
No,
would
we're
be
just
an
dating. It's not even marriage.
you're just dating together.
Yeah, and then I took debt for Tebogo because I was in love with him. And
Okay,
he had bad credit, and then so he wanted to buy a car, and then I took it in my name with the agreement that he should pay for it. And then things go sour in the relationship. And
he's not gonna
you know,
pay.
these are realities, Frank. These are stories
Yeah,
that we are
yes,
caught up
yes,
in
I
where a
agree. I
person
agree.
has bad debt, they say, take a loan for me, baby, my business is gonna boom, blah blah. You know,
You know what?
now we stuck with
Sometimes,
debts that's not
sometimes,
even ours.
Coach KB, sometimes you need to practice tough love. And tough love is, yeah, you have started a business, you look good, baby, and everything is cool. But maybe before you start thinking about that BMW, you better make the business work so that you can pay for it. If the man loves you, he's not going to push you to go and get debt because that's not love.
They do,
I
Frank. You
mean,
don't understand.
no, no, no.
They do.
We agree that they do. But we need to now become credit smart. Separate
Mm,
money from the feelings because money is real.
mhm.
You see, feelings change and all that stuff. I can't wake up and say my debt is all covered by some miracle of some kind. That's not going to happen.
Mm.
So, all
Why
I'm
are we
saying,
so
mhm,
mm,
why are we?
why are we so scared to access this form of help where we get to sit down with somebody, really reveal all our mess, our finances, all of it, and just have a proper plan and help and professional help and guidance? Why are we so scared of that? Why do we think we can do it on our own? Like, I just need to get a better job. I just need to get a raise. I just need to get that lucky jackpot and win, and then I'll be out of.
Hello?
Hello.
Yeah, but Coach KB, the thing is that a lot of people feel that to talk about debt it brings a stigma with it. It makes them feel small, and they don't want people to know that they've got problems. But what they
Mhm.
forget is that you are going to see a professional, and that's his job. He has seen a
Mhm.
lot of debt than you would ever imagine in your life.
There's nothing scary about what he'll see.
I- in my practice, I've seen debt that would blow your mind. You see what I'm saying?
Do you
I
see
cannot.
people recovering
Uh,
though? Do you see people
we-
walking into you with terrible debt and then walking out with
uh,
good, clean credit?
so this is what I do, Coach KB. I sit these people together and tell them that when they get into this bus, they're not going to come out till they are clean. And legally, that's how it works. So I have seen in my life people walking in and coming out. And let me just break this down, that how I know that this system works is not just on my client. I've been a sick person myself. I was at one point close to a meal in debt. I went into this system and I cleaned up. In 3 years and 4 months, I was free. So
So
I
what
can
happens to
recommend.
those who get stuck in this debt review
No, no, no,
status?
no. There is nothing called getting stuck. You know, some of these guys are taking these people that advertise in newspapers and on TV that they will never meet. They've got no personal interest with the client. They just want to make money out of them. There is no way you would be stuck in this thing. If you were okay, let's say before you get into the system, you were paying 15,000 for all your credits, right? Coach KB?
Mm-hmm. Yes, I'm
Okay.
here.
And then you come to me, we have renegotiated your interest and everything else. Now you are paying 7,000 Rand. What would make you not to stick to this 7,000 Rand? Because you have got now in excess about just above eight. You're now having 8,000. You see what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Now all your commitments have come to 7,000 because we have renegotiated everything else. Why wouldn't you pay this amount when you were, paying yet struggling the 15,000? It has given you room. It has given you room to breathe. So why not pay this amount? So I always tell my client, when you get into this bus, all I want to see is the day I give you that certificate that says, now you're free. And on that day, I would already have sent it to your credit bureau to make sure that they clean you up. If
Mm-hmm.
ever for some reason you are not clean, then you can come back to me and say, you know what, Frank, I haven't been clean there. I'll phone them myself because it's my legal duty to actually make sure that you're clean. So, unless there is a mistake somewhere or unless there is a company eating your money somewhere, there's no way you would be stuck in this credit rut. You need to get out.
Yeah,
Maybe
Frank, we're
you
running out
are,
of time.
yeah,
We're running out of time, and I didn't get to to some of the crucial questions that I wanted to ask you. Because I had only asked for an hour of your time. Look,
okay,
the lockdown is here, and that's the reality of it. A lot of us are gonna come
absolutely.
out of here more indebted than we went into
Mm,
the lockdown.
mm, mm.
Some of us
Absolutely,
are gonna lose
absolutely.
our jobs. Some of us
Mm,
are
mm.
just gonna be we're getting half of a salary as we speak. We're barely managing. What
Absolutely.
can we do? Do we have to wait for the creditors to threaten us before we come to look for help?
Don't even waste time for them to call you because at this point in time, they are feeling what you're feeling and they know that they're not going to call you. Let's get out of this system, COVID 19. They will be calling you day in and day out. The best way is to consult your debt counselor. You can phone me at any given time. I'll give you an assessment and you can then decide whether you want to get into the system or not. This is the right time because this is the right time because we are all in trouble. Everybody understands that. I mean, we are in COVID 19. I had a friend whose paycheck was slashed to about 50%. That's not good.
Mm,
So this is the right time. Okay, so Coach KB, here is what would happen when you are in this system. The reason you are getting in this system is to make this thing a legal process. Because
mm,
once you get into the system, they will never call you because then now they
mm.
know you are in counseling. And
You're
the second
seeking
thing,
help.
yeah, the second thing is that your assets are ring fenced against creditors' abuse. They cannot tell you that they're coming to get
So
your
they
car.
can't come and repossess my car
They
if I'm
they
under
can they
debt review.
cannot
They can't come
they, ca- they cannot
and
even
chase
get
me
your
out of my
house.
house.
They
Mm,
cannot even get your fridge because in
mm,
the end, the debt counselor gets a court order against for the agreement that the creditors have agreed to. So
mm,
if I was a sheriff coming to your house to get your car, and I get wind that you've applied for debt counseling, my chances of getting that car are next to zero. It
mm,
simply means now you are ring fenced, you have applied for debt counseling, and that's what the act had meant to do. They want to
Yeah,
help you so that you are protected against your creditors, the abuse that comes with creditors.
yeah. So, Frank,
Yeah.
for my viewers, the ones that are watching, how do I negotiate a better deal for them? Is there a deal that you can specifically give to them so that, I'm trying
Okay.
to butter
For
this thing up
anybody,
just specifically for my viewers. Is there a
okay, okay,
special deal that you'll put in place for them? And is there some form of discount for them that you can give? And how do
okay.
they get it? How do they get this discount? How do they take advantage of our connection and our relationship with me?
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. I can categorically say that anybody that comes to me and they have Coach KB as a reference, that you know what, I heard you on Coach KB, I would waiver the application fee. You don't have to have a fee
They don't
for it.
have to pay an application fee if they
No,
use the reference Coach KB.
absolutely, absolutely. They don't have to
Ah, you're
pay for
such a
that.
darling.
And you know what? I'll send them a bottle of wine.
And a bottle of
Definitely.
wine.
A
I am
bottle
signing
of
up.
wine.
So you heard it from Frank, guys. He promised on national South African TV.
Absolutely. And you know what, Coach KB, they don't
Yes,
have they don't have actually to come to me. They can just send a WhatsApp or phone me on 064
zero six
1
four
100
100
1845.
1845. Frank, please inbox me your email address and contact number. I'll put it on my timeline now as well.
Absolutely.
So,
I'll do that. I'll do that.
so guys, when you have that free bottle of wine, please remember me. Don't forget me. We were in this together. I helped you. So feel free to pass that wine over to me.
Absolutely.
Frank, any last words before I let you go to everyone else who's watching and is whether worried
Uh,
about stress or
Mm,
the
mm, mm.
debt
Uh,
or
let, let, let me just take this opportunity to thank you, Coach KB, for bringing this difficult subject of debt
I know.
to our masses so that they're educated. I mean, I feel that a lot of people that are in debt is because they don't understand this process, and
Mm,
so this program has helped them to get information that they can use to make sure that they get out of debt and scot free, and you know they can live their life. I mean, it's good to get your money in the bank account and nobody's looking for it, and you just sit on it, or maybe even think
mm,
about investing or doing other things. But it comes with planning. You come to me, we plan, we negotiate, we restructure your debt, and then we consolidate it to make sure that you're paying one amount. And a specific company is distributing it to all your creditors, and they are giving you regular reports, like monthly reports are coming to you, and you can log into your system and see for yourself that your creditors are getting their money. So I
mm.
would suggest to everybody, please, guys, see a debt counselor. If I am not your right type of debt counselor, still see another one that you think
Mm,
is close to you, and see a debt counselor, get your debt restructured, and make sure that he's negotiating the interest, because that's where you are going to get the most relief.
yeah.
Yeah,
Frank, thank you so much for making time and educating us. This was very informative.
I've
Hopefully, we'll be
enjoyed.
back again to talk more tips on finances and debts as
Absolutely,
well. Thank you so
absolutely.
much.
Looking
Enjoy the rest
forward.
of your
You too.
afternoon.
Thank you so
Bye.
much. Bye.
Guys, get that bottle of wine free. Ne? Don't say I didn't tell you. Cheers.